Hello, welcome again to Hope Dealing. I want to invite your attention to Exodus chapter 3. Nothing fancy here. I'm calling these next 4 lessons Exodus. Exodus is actually a beautiful, beautiful word. It's talking about transformation, talking about change. It's talking about an act of God. And of course, the Exodus that's found here in the book of Exodus is really the centerpiece of even the Torah. But there's some things that's good for us out of the book of Exodus. I want to take you to Exodus 3, and I'm jumping into the story of Moses being called. In verse 4, so when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. Then he said, do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows, so I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Of course, we'll read more as we go along. First thing I want you to see out of this story of Exodus is that it is an example of God's salvation. And the Bible is filled with foreshadows, types and antitypes. It means that you can know what God would do in Christ or by Christ by what he has done in the Hebrew scripture with Israel or with Jerusalem. In this case, he saved them out of Egypt. And that's big news, because you get to know how God saves us from sin. All of these have equivalents. Egypt is the foreshadow of sin. Pharaoh is the foreshadow of the devil. Moses is a foreshadow of Jesus, and the Red Sea is a foreshadow of baptism. And there's more along the line. But what it is that we ought to celebrate most of all is that it is an example of how and that God saves his people. You know, I often remind us that when you look at these stories of old, it's not really telling you what God did as much as it is telling you who God is. Because it's not enough to know that he did this for Israel. We need to know that he'll do it for us as well. And why would he do it? Because that's the God he is. He is a saving, a delivering God. And that ought to put some hope in your heart if you ever get trapped in life. If you ever, of course, he'll save you from your sin. And of course, he'll save you from sinfulness. But he'll save you from the things that often trap us, whether it be physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. God is a God who knows how to bring you out. And that ought to put some hope in your heart to deal with all the issues of life. So we'll come back and talk more about Exodus next time on Hope Dealing.